Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. Don't forget to follow me on my other channel, Money Rules. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. It seems as if we have moved into a more potentially optimistic window for the cryptocurrency space. The idea is, and has been for a while, but this seems to be resurging for some reason after the last couple of days. The expectations are that Bitcoin is still going to do extremely well, despite everything that is currently going on. A company by the name of Matrixport has released a report revealing a positive forecast for Bitcoin in the fourth quarter of this year. According to the report, despite the difficulties, encountered in the third quarter, Bitcoin's trading range has gradually narrowed, setting the stage for a potential breakout. The report attributes this optimism to the Fed interest rate cut expectations, positive seasonal factors, and the upcoming election within the United States. So the idea is that for those of you who missed it, it looks as if the Fed is nearly going to be forced to lower interest rates. If they lower interest rates, the markets collectively are going to pump. And the idea, since we've been seeing this peculiar movement in all the markets over the course of the last week, is that they're basically going to kind of be forced to do so. We heard expectations of a 0.25% decrease. And now we saw recently as well, the expectations of 0.5 point. And that the Fed might essentially be forced to lower interest rates over the course of the next year as well. That basically setting up the markets to be able to pump, Bitcoin to finally go to $100,000. I see a lot of people, and once again, I'm in the bandwagon of Bitcoin should already be over 100K. But you also have to remain realistic because the world around us is rapidly changing. Economic policies created in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the mid-2000s are now coming back to haunt us. The people who implemented these economic policies in many cases are no longer with us. So they created these things to make themselves richer, and now we literally have to deal with what they did, especially after the 2008-2009 crisis and the 2020-2021 recession were never actually fixed. Money was simply printed and thrown at the system. The report states that the Fed left interest rates unchanged. That's part of the predicament that we saw ourselves in sometimes around August, because people were like, what is going on? You understand that something needs to change. However, Fed President Jerome Powell stated that a rate cut may be possible at the September meeting if inflation continues on the predicted path. The problem is that we are no longer in a state of reality where Jerome Powell keeps thinking that inflation is going to go down when inflation is not going down and consumer prices continue to go up. So we actually need a rate cut for markets to pump back up again, for companies to feel optimistic enough to be able to hire people again, and for asset prices to basically go back up so that people push more money into all markets. Because without this, by the time we get to the end of the year or January with no rate cuts, we will probably be nearing a depression. These are the current rumors that we have going on right now. Matrix Port's inflation model also predicts a gradual decline in the consumer price index next year. According to the report, the potential for interest rate cuts of a quarter point each over several quarters could provide liquidity and stimulus to risky assets such as Bitcoin. This has been a year-and-a-half long topic. It looks like we're finally getting to the point where we are going to get an answer because something has to be done. The amount of companies, I told you in another video recently, there are a number of huge companies who are now announcing like that they're going to be getting rid of 7, 10 to 15% of their workforce just to appease their stockholders. If stock prices go back up because of a rate cut, they essentially won't have to let these people go, but this all rests literally on the shoulders of Jerome Powell, who also stated about a month ago that he does not understand why people are so upset and annoyed with the economy. He thinks that the economy is doing just fine. However, everyone else on the planet heavily disagrees with him. A number of countries have also begun to cut their interest rates. The Bank of England slashed their interest rates for the first time in over 4 years, cutting the rate, oh my gosh, cutting the rate to 5%. I thought it said by 5%, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's serious. The decision, made by a narrow 5-4 vote, ends the 16-year high of 5.25% that's been in place since August 2023. Yeah, other countries are getting with it. They understand what's happening. The problem, once again, for those of you unaware, is that we cannot and will not escape inflation unless all governments decide to change their economic policies, but that will not change. So inflation is basically with us for the long haul. And I will say, as a final thought, a lot of you have been with me for a long time on the channel, even if you've been here for about a good year or so. I mentioned earlier in the channel, and I think maybe the beginning of this year, I said a lot of interesting things keep happening where a lot of the people who I used to follow when I just got into the cryptocurrency space, a lot of what they predicted is now coming true. Interest rates having to rise, economies not doing well, the US dollar being hyper devalued, inflation basically wiping out wealth from a number of countries. The next step that they all predicted. Now, once again, these are I used to watch a lot of videos online of stuff from 2012 and 2016, and not just random people in the crypto space. I mean, like, once again, similar to Andreas Antonopoulos, like the people in the crypto space who were like the actual economists and knew what was going on and yada, yada, yada. The next step in their predictions is basically like hyper Bitcoinization. People around the world realizing that we can't escape inflation. The US dollar is not doing well. All the other asset classes are basically buckling under the pressure. And then basically it's hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin. And the higher that Bitcoin's price goes, the more people have faith in it. The more people who have faith in it, the more people who get into the market. The more people who get into the market, the higher Bitcoin's price goes. Yeah, it's very fascinating. I told you that before in 2023. It's weird because I feel like we're on like kind of an accelerated path. A lot of what's going on right now, I think I wouldn't see until 2029 or 2030. But lo and behold, yeah. So the predictions for Bitcoin recovering are beginning to pop back up. There's a lot of optimism floating around that this might, no one knows, this might just be an August thing that we have to like kind of wade through to get to September for a Fed rate cut and or potential double rate cut sometime at the very end of the year, but we will see what happens. Yeah. That's the economy news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in, I don't want to use the word popular, but this was also like frequently kind of everywhere, which is also a little bit weird. The CEO of Tether recently took to Twitter to announce the release of Tether's Q2 2024 attestation. People have become quite enamored, interested in what Tether does because Tether makes an enormous amount of money. This was known before, but now for some reason it's like a mega news story. About a year and a half ago, we began to hear from Tether exactly how much they were making. For those of you who don't know, they make billions with a B, billions of dollars just from network fees. And their network fees are very, very low. This is why we're seeing a super increase in the amount of companies who are trying to get into making their own stable coins or trying to belittle Tether because they're trying to make space for themselves in a room that doesn't really need them. It's just, complete honesty. So often when Tether releases one of these reports, it usually symbolizes that they're going to buy Bitcoin. Why, you might ask? Because Tether announced that with their profits, they buy Bitcoin. Ta-da! Yeah, they said the money that they make every quarter, they will put 15% of that into Bitcoin. And this sometimes raises Bitcoin's price, but other times the market doesn't react to anything. Regardless of who's been buying a lot of coins. Another company, also, who was it? So somebody else just recently bought, I think, another $200 million worth of Bitcoin. It did absolutely nothing to the price, and I don't know collectively, mentally, what's going on anymore. According to Arduino, the report proves Tether's robust financial position and commitment to stability and transparency in the stablecoin market. Yeah, Tether is one of the most transparent companies that we have in the space. They were forced to do so. And now that they are, everyone, isn't saying sorry to them because everyone kept on saying that they were fake or something was wrong. And when they proved everyone wrong, here we are. Tether's Q2 2024 attestation reveals a net operating profit of $1.3 billion for the quarter, leading to a record $5.2 billion in profit for the entire first half of 2024. The company also observed a $520 million increase in its equity in Q2, now totaling $11.9 billion US dollars. Tether's excess reserves stood at $5.33 billion, an effort at ensuring stability. They always let people know we have billions of extra dollars to cushion the market to make sure that Tether always stays the same. This is the same exact thing that we see from Binance, the only other transparent company within the space who gives us a proof of reserves report, where basically they constantly tell people how much they have on the crypto exchange, how much they're holding in hot wallets, in cold wallets, and how much extra money and of a reserve that they have just in case something should go wrong, that they have extra money to be able to pay everyone back. Yeah, and then they basically, they have 80,000 Bitcoin. They have a whole bunch of treasury reserves and notes and stuff like that we've heard from before. The idea being the United States would not allow Tether basically to exist if they did not or were not investing in treasury bills. That's part of the news as well that we got about 10 days ago from Ripple, who has also begun to buy treasury bills, and they are digitizing them on the XRP blockchain, more than likely in anticipation of launching their stablecoin on their platform as well. Tether did not announce any purchases of Bitcoin yet, but I assume this will follow potentially in the coming weeks, as it has happened before. We tend to hear how much money they made, and then around 15% of that gets allocated into buying Bitcoin. The market sometimes cares, the market sometimes doesn't care, but the issue is rich people are buying up all the Bitcoin, and the vast majority of people on the planet, I dare say 99% of people, don't pay attention. So remember to keep that same mindset when we hear in the future that these companies are worth hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. and everyone's complaining because I can feel it. People like to complain about everything. When people are complaining why they don't have enough Bitcoin, and it's like, well, you had 15 years. Well, I assume in the future we'll be saying, well, you had 20 years to buy, and you did. You know how long 15 years is, and you continued to ignore this market? Do you understand how long 20 years? You know how much life changes in 20 years? And how many people just continue to sit on the side? Even people within crypto. When prices go down, they literally will like not buy. They will not pay attention. They'll sell off their coins. And then you wonder why the rich continue to get richer. I wonder why you just keep selling off your assets. Anywho, that's the Tether news. And yeah, let's move on. Okay. All right, why not? We have a chain that we haven't heard from in 3 years is back in the news. Manchester United has launched a Web3 football game called Fantasy United on the Tezos blockchain for the 2024-2025 season. This was said by the club in a recent announcement. Yeah, for those of you who don't remember, Tezos, amongst many other chains, was touted as a rival and or competition to Ethereum. What Tezos was mainly used for, mainly back in 2021, was an NFT chain. So a lot of companies began to announce that they were going to launch NFTs, and they announced that they were going to be doing it on Tezos. Why Tezos? I couldn't tell you if I tried. It could also be a corporation chain like similar to Solana, where they maybe had venture capital funding. I don't honestly know. Tezos came out of nowhere. A lot of companies began to use them. And then all of a sudden, there was no more Tezos news out there. So Tezos has popped back into the news, and it looks like they're going to be creating brand new NFTs of Manchester United on their chain alongside the new game. The club has unveiled player trading cards, which feature all first-team players from the men's squad in various editions, including Classic, Rare, and Ultra Rare. Cool. This is usually summertime. Basically, I said before, earlier this year, a couple of months after the halving takes place, when the expectation is that the market is going to pump or move up higher, we always hear about, I don't want to say the term older chains, but we hear about a lot more altcoins that previously weren't in the news. You might remember we've been having a lot of Cardano news when there wasn't any for a year and a half. We had some IOTA news this year. What were the other ones? We had a lot of EOS news a couple of weeks ago. This always tends to happen. They kind of resurface and let everyone know that they're still operational and still out there. Let's see if Tezos ends up doing something again. Because Tezos and Algorand were very popular NFT chains back in 2021. And I think, what was Algorand? Algorand recently, I forgot what they were doing. Algorand in 2021 had partnered with FIFA, but there was something recently that they also said that they were doing, and I was like, cool, awesome. Okay, yeah, that's the Tezos news. Fantastic. Let's move on. Also in, yay, okay, awesome news. A recent statement by the CEO of Ripple, his name is Brad Garlinghouse, has people in a tizzy as he has ignited speculation once again within the cryptocurrency space regarding the potential launch of an XRP ETF. Yes, around April or May, remember there was a lot of speculation as to if, I'm trying to crack my arm, oh gosh, it hurts, if we were going to have a, what the next cryptocurrency ETF was going to be. The speculation was Ethereum, and that was completely correct, regardless of what a multitude of Bitcoin maximalists said just days before they actually launched. Then the discussion quickly turned to Cardano, Solana, and XRP. Cardano was knocked out of the competition fairly swiftly, as none of the larger companies were saying so. The news that we recently had twice from BlackRock and Fidelity was that they have no interest in currently launching a Solana ETF, much to the dismay of people who are rug pulling and have a whole bunch of scam coins. The other portion was XRP, which also none of the companies said. However, the speculation is thick in the room because the CEO said the words. And therefore, the idea is lawsuit over, Ripple plans on going public, and therefore, as they told us before, that they are currently not even the central banks and the countries who they're currently working with. They told us before that they're currently in discussions with dozens of banks within the United States, but they non-disclosure agreements, so they can't talk about this, or they can't do anything because of lawsuit, SEC, yada, yada, yada. That when all of that is over, that interest will kind of basically skyrocket, and that they'll be the next one to actually have an ETF. During the interview on Fox Business, Garlinghouse expressed his belief that an XRP ETF could be realized as early as 2025. Someone on Twitter known as Jack the Rippler, that is a crazy name. That is, oh boy. A prominent figure on Twitter, an outspoken XRP supporter, I would assume so with that name, shared the clip on Twitter, generating excitement within the community. When asked when to expect the XRP ETFs, Garlinghouse said, "I think we're going to see it. It'll probably be 2025. The interviewer said, "Next year?" And Garlinghouse responded, "Yeah, not too far away." But why is everyone excited about XRP ETFs? That was part of the actual article. So cool. These are probably going to happen, as I mentioned before. There are probably going to be multiple ETFs for altcoins, but they have to actually do something. Without getting into that discussion too heavily, a lot of chains that have a lot of trading volume are popular within the crypto space, but not within the actual macro or institutional financial space. XRP is extremely popular, but we can only assume once all the SEC dust has settled, they're probably going to be highly favored within the cryptocurrency space and traditional financial world. I refuse to actually engage when it comes to price predictions. I've seen some of the wackiest things in the entire world. People online talking about they're expecting an $800 XRP, a $300 XRP, if we actually do get XRP ETFs. I mean, if we can be realistic with ourselves, if you say anything around $15, it sounds relatively realistic. So, one, let's wait for them to go public, which they also said they're going to do in 2025. And two, let's wait for at least 3 companies after they've gone public to say, hey, we're interested in the XRP ETFs. And then at that point, we can have some kind of price predictions, just throwing out random numbers in the hundreds of dollars. I saw people online talking about that XRP should be like $10,000 a coin. And I was like, can you prove in any sort of way why that number makes sense? If we can all be a lot more realistic, I think people would have more realistic expectations about numbers. Just in general, just going to throw that out there because, you know, logic. That's the Brad Garlinghouse mentioned a couple of months ago. The idea about XRP ETFs, and recently on Fox Business News said once again that he expects sometime as early as 2025. It makes sense, but let's see what happens in the future. That's the XRP Ripple Brad Garlinghouse XRP ABC ETF news. Yeah. Let's move on. Also in the news, where are the words? Where are the words? There we go. In a press statement, the biggest online brokerage firm in Hong Kong called Futu Securities, that is the letters F and then U, and then the letters T and then U. I couldn't say them all together. Securities International revealed that they are now offering trading services for Bitcoin and for Ethereum, as well as shares from Nvidia and Alibaba are added as incentives to attract users and cryptocurrency investors. Earlier this year, it feels like years already. Nope. Earlier this year, Hong Kong said that they would have proper cryptocurrency regulations. They had it within like a couple of weeks. They have Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs already there as well. And now the largest brokerage firm in Hong Kong is now offering cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and Ethereum trading on their platform. Quite significant. Hong Kong is known as a very wealth concentrated place, and therefore the expectation is probably that a lot of money within Hong Kong is also going to flow into the Bitcoin ETFs as well. Yeah, kind of cool, nothing too crazy. A lot of this news doesn't tend to have the same effect that it previously did before in the past. Within the cryptocurrency space, I can only assume that they tried to get regulatory approval to list Nvidia shares probably a while ago. I will say once again, please make sure that you are saving money, that you are putting money to the side. The economy looks incredibly shaky right now until we get some really good news. I hope that you are all selling unnecessary and unneeded things around your home, excess things that you might have, to get some extra pocket change that you are putting into a high yield savings account, simply because no one knows what the future holds. Just thought I'd throw that out there once again, simply because I know the first 3 times people didn't hear me, and I've been telling people to make a savings account and an emergency account for a while. So yeah, pretty cool. I mean, the hope is that once things cool off a little bit more, we should have a clearer direction as to where the markets are going to go. The expectations are still pretty optimistic, but you got to make sure that you also exist in a place of reality, because the Fed should have lowered interest rates a while ago. But we'll see what ends up happening. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. Thank you to everyone who leaves a comment to help out the algorithm, to everyone who leaves a like to help out the algorithm as well. Thank you all very, very much for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.